Hey yo, salute to the people. It's the social forecast. Today's Monday, October 7th, about 6 p.m. Just got back from the gym after a long 16-hour work shift. I've been meaning to touch on this in a vlog. What I'm calling a continuation of the Amber Guyger situation. The sentencing happened a few days back. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison, which most people, including myself, feel like that's not enough time. Not for murder, especially not when if the scenario was flipped around. I don't think this would be the outcome. I know for a fact this wouldn't be the outcome. Everyone was talking about the unprofessionalism of the judge and how her giving a hug to a now convicted murderer was not the move. Definitely unprecedented and definitely outside of the realm of normal and appropriate. And then, as everybody's talking and arguing about that and criticizing Botham Jean's brother for going on that whole spiel where he gave the speech about how he forgives her and doesn't want to see her do any jail time and wants what's best for her. Now, the key witness in the murder trial, the person's testimony, the person's statement, who you can pretty much credit with being the testimony that I think is kind of like the deciding factor in this case. The person who heard the conversation didn't necessarily hear what exactly was being said, but gave the most insight into what was going on in that apartment because they were within earshot, right in the hall. And this person winds up dead. This person not just winds up dead, as if that's not a crazy quote unquote coincidence. The manner in which this key witness was killed, shot in the mouth. And then I'm listening to social media platforms, I'm listening to talk radio, I'm listening to different personalities, different platforms talk about the situation, hinting at the fact that this is not a coincidence. They think the police may have had something to do with it. Scared to come right out and say they feel the police has something to do with it, because some platforms, some people are more more filtered than others. And that's cool. It's rightfully so. I understand it. I don't give a fuck. There's no way the police didn't have anything to do with this. And when I say the police, I don't mean the agency necessarily, but some officers, some rogue officers, maybe even the individual who was engaging in a sexual relationship with Amber Guyger behind his wife's back. I believe, to be real, the more I think about it, I believe that officer may have had something to do with it. I just don't think I'm 100% sure there's no way that this was a coincidence. And as if it wasn't enough of a controversy, everybody talking about the sentencing itself and criticizing Botham Jean's brother for his speech and saying he forgives Amber Guyger. He doesn't want her to do jail time. He wants what's best for her. And then the judge, in her unprofessional move to hug a now convicted murderer, which I'm pretty sure has never happened, should not happen. It's improper. It's unprofessional. It's inappropriate. Everyone's talking about that. And now all of a sudden, just weeks after this key witness gave their testimony, gave their statement of what they witnessed, they heard with their own ears. Now this person pops up dead and shot in the mouth. And is anybody watching this right now going to tell me this is a coincidence? You're delusional. And it just further goes to show how stacked against us as a people the criminal justice system is. To one, have a convicted murderer be sentenced to minimal time, to be eligible for parole in half that amount of time, which is ridiculous. And then on top of that, to even have the jury be instructed to consider a bullshit law, the Castle Doctrine, which should not even be in play, because for you to enact the Castle Doctrine, I would think anybody with half a mind would think, wouldn't you have to be in your castle, your home, your apartment? But this is what the judge at the last minute allowed the jury to consider, which they rejected. Salute to them, because they were not beat. I wouldn't have been beat either if I was on the jury. So that's taking scrutiny. And now the key witness, after everything this judge did, after everything that happened during the sentencing, now the key witness pops up murdered. Doubt that they're even vigorously looking to find the person who's responsible for it. So now the door is wide open for Amber Guyger to file her appeal, which we know that it's a given that she is. And because she was only sentenced to 10 years, because of I guess you want to call it a stipulation or a loophole law, that because she was not sentenced to more than 10 years, she now will have the ability to file for an appeal and remain free on bail throughout the process of her appeal. And now, if an appeal is granted, that means another trial, essentially. And now you don't have the key witness. You don't have that person to speak and say the things that were said in the last trial. And of course, it will be made reference to what this person said in the original trial. They may or may not even have audio recordings, because this is this person's testimony of what they themselves witnessed. So it's not like it would be considered hearsay. But it's just crazy that all these things are seeming to be stacked now in Amber Guyger's favor, perfectly lining up her appeal. And I'll tell you what, if people were not upset enough at the sentencing, if people were not upset enough at the fact now that this key witness was murdered, how y'all gonna feel if this woman is granted an appeal and somehow manages to have her verdict overturned, or even have the sentencing lessened as the outcome of her appeal? How are y'all gonna feel then? Are people like you, Medical Sour, gonna finally be willing to admit that there's some major inconsistencies, some major inequalities in what the laws and criminal justice looks like for people who look like me and people who look like her? And I'm not talking about police officers. I'm not talking about police officers versus civilians. I'm talking black, white. Yes, in 2019, this is still an issue. Still a problem. There is still a racial divide. And for all of the conversations that you and I have had in the comment section, I don't see how you could possibly find a way to explain away this case. I don't. But I'm interested to know what you think, Medical Sour. I'm interested to know what anybody else watching this thinks. Are the police somehow, whether as an agency or some rogue officers or just this one officer who was sexually involved with this former officer, Amber Guyger, did the police have something to do with this murder of this key witness? Or are you, Medical Sour, or anyone else watching and listening to this going to tell me it's not related and it's just a coincidence in the manner in which this individual was killed? I would love to know what y'all think. Like, comment, and subscribe. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love.